as we continue on to tip number 4, I want to remind you that you should be emulating before you try to innovate. Emulate before you innovate. What does that mean? It means that you should find other brands who are already crushing it with their strategy in your industry and outside of your industry. And I'm not saying you should steal their ideas, okay? Very clear distinction here. We've talked about this many times. Tony Robbins always says that success leaves clues, right? I for sure would not attempt to do something for the first time on my own if I know that the stakes were as high as, hey, this is my future, without having or studying what other people have done before me. There is no reason why you should try to innovate, off the gate. You want to emulate before you innovate. And sure, there's a place and a time and a season for innovation. There's a place and a time and a season for thinking outside the box and thinking bigger and spreading your message. But I really want to make sure that you have your foundation covered. And I see this way too often, especially when it comes to brand new entrepreneurs who are getting started with this whole concept of attracting 1,000 true fans. So what does this mean? How does this translate into content creation? It's actually pretty simple, and I'm going to give you some practical steps. Number 1, the first thing I want you to do is to go in and make a list of 5 brand models. I talk about this in the Business Lounge at length when I'm sharing with my students how to validate their idea and how to launch their business into the world. One of the first things that we talk about is creating brand models. And this is a concept that you can apply not just to business models, right? You can look for people who have interesting business models that you want to emulate, but also in content creation. I think it applies even more in content creation. So what you should do, instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to try this whole podcast thing with a twist where I'm actually live in my car as I drive home, take a look at what other people are doing with podcasting that are crushing it, right? Look at the top 5 podcasts and then take a look at the top 5 in your niche and then outside of your niche and get an idea, right? Study what's already working. Again, success leaves clues, and you want to study those clues. You want to have a clear strategy to deploy. And maybe you take, a couple strategies from one podcast and you're like, you know what? I love that, they're creating the same type of format every single week. I'm going to actually steal that, or I'm going to model that. And then I actually really like that this person is actually really transparent with their life. They kind of just, it's borderline TMI. And maybe I'm not going to do all of that, but I would like to try that. And maybe, I like that this person is, I don't know, maybe on their podcast, they bring a ton of interviews and their guests are pretty controversial. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to bring that type of kind of vibe, but to my audience. So maybe you are kind of like the female Joe Rogan and you decide, hey, I'm going to actually bring this kind of controversial ideas or this idea of like exploring topics from all different kinds of worlds and putting that into more of like the female entrepreneurial type of audience. So you gotta look at what's working for different brand models and then come up with a strategy that works for you. Take ideas, don't be afraid of modeling. Don't steal. Please don't steal. That is not what I'm talking about. But you do want to model and you want to find what works for you and you want to test and you want to experiment and you want to figure out, okay, how can I make this my own? How can I put a twist on this? How can I really make it something unique and special and different? That's what we're talking about. Instead of just trying to put out this like brand new innovative podcasting, format where like maybe you're like filming the podcast while you're taking a shower and you're also sort of going live from, the neck up, which is super weird. Don't do that. It's just an example. Don't do that. Like there's no need to do that. You can totally leverage what other people are doing and what they're doing smartly to implement into your own business, into your own content strategy. No. There's no need. There's no need to innovate when you can emulate, especially as you're starting, kind of new season in your business and you're, maybe just dipping your toe in the water for the first time. So here's what I just talked about. Please don't make this mistake. Throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. There is no reason to experiment and try things. I definitely think that's important. But when you're first getting started, especially when you're brand new to social media or when you're brand new in general to the business world, let's actually work on modeling what is actually already working. And I can't tell you, I've been in business for over 9 years now, and I still, to this day, when I'm launching something new, I totally try to model what's already working, because I've made the mistake in the past to try to innovate before I was ready to, and it just totally and epically backfired. It was a total waste of time and energy and money and team resources, and it was unnecessary. So instead of just trying to figure out what content you're going to be creating and just, throwing out there everything and anything, get a good strategy. We have 1 million episodes on how to do that. And we will link a playlist in the description of this episode for you so that you can go and binge all the content strategy content that we have. But in the meantime, I want you to actually find proven content. Find content that already does well, right? Emulate what's working. Look for what people are searching for. You can open up YouTube and type a couple keywords. What are the videos that are doing well in my industry? And then what's actually working on Pinterest, another great search engine? What are people writing about on Google, right? Look at trends and look at search. People are going to tell you what they want. It's really that simple. And so few people actually leverage the power of proven content, even if it's just proven ideas, right? Like proven topics, proven like little spins on existing content. You can do all those things, but very few people do it. So I hope that you start leveraging this. It's a huge mistake and it's totally unnecessary. It'll stunt your progress, it'll stunt your success, and it'll inevitably leave you burned out and frustrated. I don't want that for you. So let's please emulate, research, find proven content. There's no need to struggle. There really isn't.